gonna talk about all the things Lynch.
I can't wait. I like I'm just so obsessed with this show and David Lynch in general, so this is perfect.
Correct. I feel like once one enters the realm of Lynch, it's like, ah, yes, I've I've been waiting for it. I've meant to be here, and I finally made it.
Exactly.
Which is to say, like it was like I don't know, maybe a long time coming. It felt Alyssa and I talked a little bit about how it felt like almost inaccessible to get into Lynch. Like it felt like a secret like bros club and like film
Totally.
bro energy. And it is so funny because it is like the antithesis of that. And I just feel so lucky that it's like, oh, the propaganda of whatever message I was receiving about that has failed and we've made it through. Like Isimo, we made it out. We're in Lynchland. Thank God.
Yeah, I think I started with Blue Velvet because that was the one that felt like I
Mm.
didn't need too much lore going into it, and then that immediately made me be like, okay, I gotta watch Twin Peaks immediately.
Yes, yes. I also started with Blue Velvet and I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I had a really hard time watching it. And I don't know
Mhm.
if it was like knowing that, right? I think Laura Dern's 17 in that. Is that
Yeah,
right?
I think
And
so.
I think that was part of it was just like, oh man, like I know what happens on like sets, and even if this is a different set, it's still Hollywood, and like she's just a teenager, and like I don't know if that was part of it, aside from it being um thematically and visually at times graphic.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
one that's hard to rewatch for that same reason.
Mm.
I mean, you could argue that exists in most of his work, but yeah, you
I mean, a
definitely
woman in trouble. That's the
exactly.
whole tagline. Yeah. What were you
Yeah.
gonna say though?
Um, I honestly don't know. But speaking
Oh, sorry. I thought I was maybe interrupting
of,
you.
you're okay,
You're
but
good.
speaking of a woman in trouble, Laura Palmer is like the ultimate example of that. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited that we've been watching Twin Peaks because every time you experience it with someone else, or like even after some time has gone by, you always gain something new. I mean, I kind of have that relationship to all art in general, but
Yeah.
there's something about David Lynch where it's like, I don't know, every time there's something new, even when you're watching the same thing.
Oh, that makes me like so excited because I think a lot about how people will say like, oh, what I could would give to go back and like listen to that album again for the first time or see that, plot twist for the first time. And
Yeah.
there is so much to be said about the layering of rewatching and re-enjoying media that happens. It like calcifies upon itself. And I have to give a shout out to seventh grade Miss Schluter. I never thought I'd be talking about you, but you were the first person to tell me about the idea that like you can come back to a piece of art and it can change. And you were talking about The Giver and reading it as an adult. And I have read The Giver three different times in my life as like a child, adolescent, adult. And like I'm getting weepy thinking about doing that same experience with Twin Peaks. Like I'm already like, oh, I can't wait to come back to this. I can't wait to like I haven't even finished season one and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go back and rewatch the season, which I probably will over the summer
Yeah.
because it is so immersive and so like I'm at the falls, baby. Like I am in the woods. I am there. Which I'm glad that we watched it over the summer so that there's like some light energy, because it is
Yeah.
hard to watch
It
in
really is.
in some ways. Which is to say thanks for being our Twin Peaks guide as we launch into TV Club.
Yeah, it's been so much fun. Um, I have a little introduction that I wrote out about Twin
Oh my
Peaks.
gosh,
I
yes.
could read it
Yes,
real quick.
slow.
Okay.
Oh, don't not even real quick. Let's like sink into it. Take our time. Thank you for penning us a little journey into the realm.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I wrote Twin Peaks is about the tragic murder of Laura Palmer, and She's, for context, she was 17 if you're not familiar with the show. And Agent Cooper and the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department's journey of solving that murder. But beyond that, it's about the double life that exists within a person, a community, a place, and even another dimension. And it's about an entire community being cracked open by the loss of precious young life, but also gradually revealed to be a rotted and deeply flawed system that is the breeding ground for such tragedies to occur. Um, and outside the story itself, it's like a show about television and all the genres that inspired David Lynch and Mark Frost, but also shaped the American cultural consciousness. And like, I I feel like I'm always missing a genre when I say this, but it's a blend of mystery, thriller, soap opera, dark comedy, and supernatural horror, which is like basically everything everywhere all at once, which I love about it. But yeah, that was my little intro.
Oh my gosh, Lo, that's so brilliant. That,
Thank you.
oh wow. That like I just feel like grounded. I'm if I wasn't at the falls, I'm there now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that's so funny about it is it was like in trying to write like a little blurb for TV Club of like what exactly are we doing here? It was like all of those genres. It's like the thing that has surprised me the most, I have to say this, of all the things, the genre maybe that you're missing, which is not a television genre at all, is jazz. I didn't
Oh,
expect there to be so much lighthearted jazz through the whole
it's
thing.
it's amazing.
It's like it's like Laura Palmer as the Good Witch from Wild and Heart has
Yeah.
like transformed into bubble music and infused the whole thing with just enough lightness to like literally carry you through the depths of hell through a bubble. Like you're in a bubble, you're like in the there's something about Lynch that does dark art in a way that you can handle it. Like
Yeah.
sometimes dark art is like, this breaks me open and it's going to like, and I need to be broken up, but like we fall apart, we fall back together. Like as Pema Chodron says, like it's okay to fall apart. But Lynch does it in a way that like is like, oh, you cracked open, but like don't worry, I've already put the cast completely around you. You're
Yeah.
okay.
That's such a great way to describe it. Yeah, because like every single time I watch really anything by him, I'm like always floored with emotions, but then it's like I always trust him to like guide you through those experiences and feelings because he just has like so much empathy in his work, which I really appreciate because they are very dark topics sometimes.
So much empathy.
Yeah.
So much empathy. And not just like in his art, but I don't know. It's hard to know somebody that you don't know. We don't know. But that empathy seems so prevalent just on his sets, the way that people talk about working with him. I just can't imagine people would return to those places if it wasn't an empathetic place to create art.
Yeah, definitely. That's another thing I've always admired is that when you make your way through his filmography, you're seeing faces that you've seen like several times already, and it's because he had such like a strong creative family and like people like Jack Nance, who was the star of Eraserhead and also plays Pete in Twin Peaks, and
Mm,
Catherine Coulson, who plays the log lady in Twin Peaks. She was
mm,
in the crew for Eraserhead, and Jack and Catherine were basically like with him throughout film school, I want to say, and continued to work with him for all those years. It's just oh, and also oh, her name is slipping my mind, but she plays Bobby's mom in Twin Peaks. She's the female lead in Eraserhead, and yeah,
oh,
it's just so heartwarming to see people make art together for so long.
is that Charlotte Stewart?
Yes, thank you.
I got you. I got you back. I didn't know that. I looked it up. But that is so cool that there's so many. I mean, that was part of what was wild about watching Wild at Heart while we were watching Twin Peaks was I knew that um Laura Palmer's actor, what sorry, Cheryl
Really.
Lee.
Yeah,
Thank you, Shirley. Oh gosh, I knew that she was in Wild at Heart, but then I didn't know they were like this handful of other people. I was like, man, that person really looks. You're like, well, that is because that is was it Audrey? I think was the person I was
yeah.
Audrey in Twin Peaks. Sorry, I don't know everyone's names.
Sherilyn Fenn.
What's her name?
Sherilyn Fenn.
Oh, they have like similar names,
I know
Shirley and
I
wow.
used to mix them up.
I mean, that makes sense. It totally makes sense. That's so interesting. Yeah, it was such a trip to be like, okay, we're still in the same realm. This is a
Yeah,
different story, but like this is a dream within a dream of a Lynch film or
yeah.
something.
And I want to say season one of Twin Peaks came out the same year as Wild at Heart, 1990. So
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Oh my God, I did not put that together time-wise.
yeah, I love it.
Wow. God, Wild at Heart was a trip. I'm so glad we watched that together.
Yeah.
I think that I would have, and I did kind of last year when we were looking at curriculum to films to watch, that was one that we skipped over because it was based on a book that he didn't write. So it wasn't his, independent idea. And it's like in hindsight is like hilarious to think that because it's like, okay, well, yeah, sure, there was like source material, but that thing is like the most Lynchian of all, like to think that something that started somewhere else didn't become some work of art of Lynch's is a naive thing to say. And I've learned a lot in the last year of closely looking at Lynch.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Twin Peaks so far?
Oh my God. Like in terms of, well, okay, I'm just gonna say what I do know and don't know, because I don't even know. But the thing that I'm thinking about right now, okay, I I am so intrigued because I know things are gonna get weirder. I
Mhm.
know things are gonna get a little mystical. And it reminds me a lot of the television show Lost.
Mm,
When that came out, the first season, I feel very fortunate. I just happened to be at a friend's house and when the pilot aired and it was like, "Hey, we should watch this thing." Like, oh my God, hooked every week for the. It
yeah.
was such a cultural phenomenon when it came out. And it presented itself as just like there was a plane crash on an island, and that's all you had. And then there starts to be like some weird stuff, but you don't know that it's like a supernatural show
Hmm.
until you're like deeply invested. And I don't know, like from all the promotional material I've been able to see about season one, it has like a similar energy. And like,
Okay.
I don't know, maybe it's not going to get as metaphysical or like weird as Lost, although I think it does.
I can say it
Um,
probably will.
yeah, I mean, I think that's like such an interesting trope. And of course, Lost is made by Gracie Abrams' dad, JJ.
Oh, wow.
So, oh yeah.
Great.
Oh, let me tell you, I have never once forgotten that. But it's fun to say like Gracie Abrams' dad,
Yeah.
that she's like the more famous one now, for me at least, which is
Same.
hilarious because he's quite prolific. But yeah, that like, oh man, now I have to dive into like what does JJ say about Lynch because I'm wondering, maybe it's a larger trope than I've ever realized. Like, start things off normal and then, whoa, plot
Yeah.
twist, it's supernatural. That seems pretty common. Um, but yeah, that's the first thing when I'm like thinking about like, oh, what is Lynch or what does season one Twin Peaks feel like to me? It makes me think about everything that I do not know. Like, I know that more is coming. I know that there's like gonna be some weird moments. And there's like, I think. Okay, I haven't seen I Love Boosters yet, but everything by Boots Riley from The Coup. If you everyone go see today's the day. If you're listening live, go see I Love Boosters. We got to do it. We got to get Boots Riley back in theaters. Anyway, a lot of that film. I'm doing my part, Boots. I'm doing my parts for Oakland. Um, that film feels really like there's a lot of there's not like what I'm trying to say, the parallel between Twin Peaks that I see is there's not yet in season one, there's not like, oh, that's a supernatural thing that's happening. There's just moments of like, well, what's that? You know? And it could be just like not supernatural. There's like this lightness to it, like positivity to it, where I
Yeah.
feel like the darkness, the empathetic hunger is descending.
Yes. Yeah. I think like especially in season one, it's very much dream logic carrying like the more mystical
Oh,
side of the season.
yeah.
And like
Yeah, yeah.
also like I've been thinking about this a lot ever since we started season one, is that like there's so much like tonal whiplash. Like, like Cooper will be asking Harry, like, "Oh, what kind of trees do you got out here?" And then he's like, "Can I get the copy of the dead girl's report?" Like, it's constantly going back and forth between like comedy and then like horror and then back to sincerity, and it's just like kind of
Mm.
uncanny, but also like so real at the same time. Like, it's yeah, and I think that's just the David Lynch effect, honestly. But yeah,
I
uh,
mean, that is like so much of what life is, you know? Like
yeah.
you have to like wake up and feed the metaphorical children, you know?
Mm,
Like whatever that is, you have to like take care of the things and things ebb and flow, you know? The
yeah,
like moments of great joy are punctuated by like pure horror.
definitely.
And thank God. Thank God we have the moments of joy. And I keep coming back to this idea of like, oh, does it make sense to talk about like some weird art at the rise of fascism? And it's like, thank God we have something to talk about. We have to
Yeah,
balance it. And that's not to say we are not to take direct action
yeah,
at all. I'm just saying, thank God that there is a
yeah.
respite.
And also, like, I feel like a lot of Lynch's work, it kind of took me some time in the world to understand this, but there's actually like so much critique of systems in his art.
Mm-hmm.
Like in
Mm-hmm.
Twin Peaks, it's the nuclear family, but also like the polite facade of the small town, and
Oof.
yeah,
Oof. That one.
and then obviously with Mulholland Drive, like the rot beneath Hollywood and so on, Eraserhead parenting and all that. But yeah, but it doesn't feel like in a way that's like in your face. It's just so inherent to like the story. I
Right.
don't know.
Right. Like things take on a natural, like life has this like natural course of like we're just doing life in Twin Peaks. And because it is life, it will have all of these other things around it that we will continue to navigate through.
Definitely.
Did you say Twin Peaks is also a commentary on television or like on film?
So, I mean, that's up to interpretation, but I personally do think that's the case, and it becomes
Okay.
more like obvious later, especially in like The Return. Um,
Hmm.
but like even with like the show within the show, like Invitation to Love that they show on the little TVs and some of the scenes where like characters are at home or Lucy
Yeah.
watches it at work and all the characters, I'm not like super familiar with all their names, but I know they all kind of like represent some of the characters in Twin Peaks, the show, in a way.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and like the main character of that show, um, she plays, so the fictional actress's name is Selena Swift, and
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Wow.
and the
That's the
twin,
main character, or that's just a character?
that's like so like within the world of Invitation
Right.
to Love, that's the actress's name, but then she plays twin sisters named Jade and Emerald.
Okay, 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 okay,
So
okay,
that kind
okay.
of like,
We have
lines
a
up.
fake actor named Selena Swift who plays twins that are named after jewels.
Yes. Green ones to be specific.
Sure, of course. Oh my God. This is like, it's we know that Taylor Swift et al. are deeply referencing this show. Like we have direct visual parallels. Like it's not and still stuff like that just like let me just sit right down. What am I supposed to do with that? You know, that's okay. Thanks for the crash out I had to have about that. Um, okay, Selena Swift plays
Jade and Emerald, and they're twin sisters in the show Invitation to Love, and they're kind of like count like the equivalent to Laura and Maddie, who are both played by Cheryl Lee in Twin
and
Peaks.
Maddie's her cousin,
Yes.
her identical cousin.
Yeah, like played by the
And
same
that's
actress.
so
Yes.
wait, say that again.
I said played by the same actress, and actually it's because Lynch wanted Cheryl Lee to have a bigger part in the show than just like a dead girl, you know?
Totally.
So
Is do they call in the show Maddie the identical cousin, or is that just a outside joke?
it's just an outside joke, but there's
Okay.
definitely James where he's like, "Oh my God, you look just like her." Like,
Right. Because it would be like totally fine and Lynchian for them to be like, oh yeah, this is the identical cousin. Like, oh sure, yep, identical cousin. Yep, that's a Lynch thing, no problem. Okay, it makes it's glad we didn't descend too far.
yeah.
Wow. Okay, okay, sorry. Thanks for taking all the time to like help me make sure I'm like, okay, so Maddie is the cousin, also played by Cheryl Lee. I think you were going maybe somewhere with that.
Oh
Or
no,
maybe
I
not.
was just saying that like Jade and Emerald and Invitation to Love, it's kind of like an
Ah,
example of them like mirroring the characters in Twin Peaks.
right.
Um, and then also like with the even just with like the specific blend of genres in Twin Peaks, like the soap opera moments never feel like genuinely trying to be a soap opera, but like like commentary on soap opera and like how that mirrors
Mm.
real life and that sort of thing. Um, but
This
yeah.
makes me think about how well, the first time I watched Mulholland Drive, I had like no backstory. I was like, let me just watch some things. I watched Blue Velvet, was like, holy moly, that was an experience. And I didn't watch it with anyone. I watched my first Lynch by myself, so that's also a layer. Um, so when I got to Mulholland Drive, I'm kind of like bracing. But the first thought I had is a thought I still have about Mulholland Drive is that first part, particularly, I think it hit when Betty is talking to the older couple after they leave the airport.
Mhm.
The everything about that scene, even when they're in the car, like they're reciting lines, like they're in a play.
Yeah.
And it's when we just rewatched it, it like struck me even more. It's like, oh, right, this is like this right, this is the form informs the function.
Yeah.
Which is to say, like, the parallel with like Twin Peaks and this like commentary on television and genre, etc., is like we're gonna make this television show within the show to talk about things in a more meta way because we can't talk about things directly because that's uncomfortable and hard to do.
Yeah.
It's like why science fiction and other, realms exist. It like gives us enough distance by which to process the thing that is actually happening in our life. Which
Yeah.
Taylor talks a lot about. Like as I'm saying this, I'm imagining the anti-hero house where she opens the door and it's herself. And I see that as her creative daemon and
Mhm.
how having this idea that, you are not a genius, but you have a genius, godlike creature come and visit you and grant you some bit of genius.
Yeah.
That distance, that like externalization gives artists enough space to not be driven mad by the idea of genius. If it's
Yeah.
just this, like, there's this space. And so I think about like Lynch, he has this knack for making just the right amount of space. It's
Mhm.
just enough space to where I feel like I can walk into the realm and talk about whatever malady is happening, but it's not close enough to where I'm it's too uncomfortable. Maybe
Yeah.
that is what I felt about Blue Velvet. Maybe Blue Velvet felt too close. I
Yeah.
don't know. I haven't thought about that.
Yeah. And this like brings me to like when we're bringing the Taylor into it all, like we'll definitely have to talk about it more once we get to the return, but like I feel like
Ooh,
Tortured Poets department and the return is where you'll find the most like potential references on Taylor's part. And,
yeah.
like I feel like both, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and try to compare Taylor Swift to David Lynch, but like they do have this certain eye where like they're able to present the original fantasy, but also the fractures of it, and like,
Ooh.
you know, like, and in the case of Tortured Poets Department, and I would argue Twin Peaks: The Return, like, what the audience wants becomes like part of the text itself, and like the performer
Oh,
seems like
yeah.
they're crafting their own myth, but you know, there's so many layers to it. But yeah, like it's so silly to me to like because when I think about the audiences, they're so vastly different. Like, you know, I think
Mm,
Lynch fans are, you know, they're they are quite aware about like, you know, the layers to it, and they look for the deeper readings, and you know, of course, with Lynch
right.
famously not revealing, you know, what exactly his movies mean, that like leaves so much beautiful room for interpretation, and like everyone having their own personal take on things, like shaped by, you know, the person they are, which I love.
Yes. Yeah, it's a
Um,
mirror ball.
yeah. And then with like Taylor, on the other hand, you know, I don't want to say every single person who engages with her art is like this, but you have a lot of people that have their assumptions, and they have it needs to go in a specific structure, and oh, if you think it's about something else, you're wrong. Get out of here. You know, it's just very different audiences. But then we have spaces like, you know, Gaylor and performance artler where it feels more akin to like how we interpret art by
Mm.
geniuses like David Lynch and stuff. So, and also what you were saying earlier about um like the daemon and everything, it reminds me of what Jack Antonoff said about like the ancient ritual of songwriting. Like
Oh, God, I have chills.
I think that that kind of stuff is so interesting to me because like I I like was a musician for a really long time, and I still am, but
Mm,
like I'm not I don't have the like as many creative outlets as I would like, but I also am familiar with like that kind of like magical feeling of just like being guided through creation, and like, you know, finding everything falls into place as it should, whatever it is that you're creating. So it's fun to think
oh,
about.
like Lynch sometimes talks about when he's creating art or like receiving the generative ideas for the art, it's like he's, in the unified field and he talks about like there being a pearl in front of him and he picks it up and it's like a strand of pearls and it just like keeps going. And that idea of just being in this like, you know, dark creation realm with your daemon and, not being able to see anything except the pearl in front of you and just trusting that like there will be another pearl of wisdom of creative genius to
Wow,
make this art whole.
that's that's gorgeous.
Oh, Lynch, thank you for these metaphors. I love
Cool.
making art so much. And I think like, okay, so we have the artist who's in a conversation with the daemon, right? There's that communication. And I would argue sometimes when we look at like the triple goddess, but also just like three artists represented in music, we've seen so many doppelgangers and parallels of people. But I think about there being the artist, there being the creative daemon, and then there's the relationship with the fans. That is like a third entity. And you were talking about like there being this kind of like communicative experience with art and people who enjoy art. And I'm trying to remember like where this idea came from. Like I've been talking about this theory for a while about the tennis court being covered up with some tent-like thing. Like the tennis court is where she conducts conversations with the people who enjoy her art
Mm, wow.
because there's this like give and take. And it connects to like Florian Stettheimer would paint art critics as referees, tennis refs, and of course like Scott Swift, probably her biggest critic, is
Mhm.
the tennis ref and the man. So that's like kind of where that came from. But this idea that it's like it's a conversation, like it's a back and forth. And I've really been coming back around to this idea of like they artists are creating moments and opportunity for conversation. Also, speaking of, Charlie XCX is having her whole theme of her new album right now is around conversation. She had like pop-up events that were about having conversations. But I was
Mhm.
really returned to this idea of like we are in it's a dialogue. We are in communication with these artists and they are inviting it and creating space for it. When Harry Styles stage was too tall, I was like, this, I hate to say this, but this was like this is performance art.
Yeah,
This stage, it, people aren't stupid. They built this stage this way for a reason.
yeah, totally.
They can anticipate all the things that you're saying. And I was like, they either are going to show the purpose of the way the stage that is built, like maybe One Direction's going to stand on all those bridges was the thought I had,
Mhm.
or they're going to change that stage. They're going to engage in this in a meaningful way. And that's what
Yeah,
they did. They completely changed the stage. And it was like, this is a dialogue. Like, this is, our art is not meant to be siloed. You're creating art and you put it out in the world, and it's like, I don't know. I can't imagine you would actually just like never look at it again. And I think there's maybe a point where it, becomes hard to and whatever. There's lots of layers to the actual industry, but art is a conversation. You make art to communicate.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's so interesting how like all these artists that we're following, like in the New Romantics and stuff, like all
Mm.
of them are saying things about performing and what it's like to have desires or narratives projected onto you and what that does to your relationship with your own like authentic self. And like I think Taylor, I think she specifically says this about her dating life, but like the idea of spectatorship, like,
Mm.
and I don't know, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but but like
We
I'm
don't have to know where we're going. Isn't that what Dale Cooper says? What does he say?
well, wait, it's slipping my mind.
No, I got it. I'm gonna pull it up right here because you reference it so perfectly. Dale Cooper, Agent Dale Cooper of Twin Peaks says, I have no idea where this will lead us, but I have a definite feeling it will be a place both wonderful and strange.
Oh, I love that.
We don't know, we don't need to know. We just need to embrace wonderful and strange, and I'm here for that. Where were we going? We're talking about conversations and
Yeah.
uh I don't even know. I who knows? Well, you make me think about like I do think there's conversations that are happening with people who enjoy the art, and I don't think that the stands or the fans are the only people who that communication is for. I think we've seen communication happen on in other ways, people like I'm thinking specifically about a time last spring when Drake was trying to get Justin Bieber's attention publicly, like in comment sections. It was really odd. And then Justin Bieber like seemed to stage a pap walk in front of a restaurant called Drake. And it was like,
Oh,
okay, I think we're seeing different ways that people communicate,
yeah.
different levels here.
Yeah.
But you were also making me think about how like like the differences between like Lynch and Swift and how like well one, I think sometimes people look at pop music as not something that can be studied academically or rigorously, which
Mhm.
obviously we feel a bit differently.
Yeah.
There's a lot of worth in that, like there, as you were saying, like Lynch infuses so much commentary on societal ills that in this work, in this like pop culture piece, if you will, that's the point of art. But I've been thinking about this concept of like I think most people would consider Lynch to be like a little more highbrow art. Like if you're into Lynch, you're like, you're a cinephile, you like understand esoteric things. There's like these are the things I thought about Lynch before I understood that it's not this like secret big society. It's like, just analyze art and it's actually rather straightforward.
Yeah.
Um, but conceptually, I think like my mom still talks about Mulholland Drive and she's like, I don't even know what happened in that. I'm like, Mom, I'm pretty sure if we sat down in a movie theater, outside of the 90s, like you would be fine, or 2000s, I guess. But like, I think you could get this movie easy. But this idea, like, I think there was so much idea around like Lynch, like you couldn't overcome this idea of like, oh, it's like, nonlinear structure or whatever. But we've been talking so much about the concept between high art and trash because, oh gosh, was it like 2 years ago? Charlie XCX like truly launched our film club era by posting a Douglas Sirk quote about high art and trash. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Um, Here it is. On January 2022 of 2024, Charlie posted Douglas Sirk quote. And Douglas Sirk is a director
Okay.
who was most famous for his work with Rock Hudson, who was one of the first people,
Um,
celebrities to disclose his positive AIDS status. So he was like one of the first mega hunks to be like, actually, I'm a faggoty.
mm,
Big deal in
yeah.
that realm. But yeah, Douglas Sirk says there is a very short difference between high art and trash. And trash that contains the element of craziness is by this very quality nearer to art.
Mm,
So I think about the word craziness and I think about being gay, being a mental disorder when he said this quote.
mm,
I'm assuming I don't actually have a date for this quote. I'm just assuming because that's when he was like making art. But this quote could be from later, so I'm not sure. Maybe I'll look it up later. But yeah, this idea of like, okay, so we're looking at like Lynch and like pop music girlies, like, you know, this
yeah.
element of craziness is that like if you what I think potentially he's saying on like a micro scale, because I think there's a macro interpretation of this quote too, but I think like on a very like niche, just like narrow view way, is saying that like camp and things that are like trashy, like I'm thinking like John Walters and that kind of like trash camp queer art,
Mm,
because it is queer, it is actually like high art.
yeah.
It like comes back around. Um, So yeah, I think, like I said, I think that's niche. I think there's like a bigger non-queer, just like overarching thought around this quote. But I just think about that all the time when we have like looked at Taylor's work with the rigor, and so many people scoff at that. And
Mm,
I think, like you were saying, Twin Peaks, no, Tortured Poets was like one of the first times that it became really evident to
mm,
people. And I think that was, arguably like one of Taylor's more heady albums. She's like, okay, I'm I'm here to make high art. You want high art? And then, a year and a half later, one could argue that Showgirl is not in that same realm,
yeah.
which is then to say, well, we better revere it as high art. There's a
Yeah.
lot said, and I think most people in the performance art realm understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like with Tortured Poets, like it felt like a really big moment of her being like, I want you to go back and look at everything through this new lens I've provided for you, and a lot's gonna change. Like, what's the time? Doesn't it give some perspective? But also like the live performance of Tortured Poets, like that was like the biggest fourth wall break she's ever done to me. Like that was
Wait, say more.
just like so like with I Can Do It With a Broken Heart, for example, when she's
Oh, shit.
like
Yeah.
she's doing all like the choreography from all the different eras in the concert, and
Yeah.
she's kind of being like, hey, like this whole thing is a performance, like literally, but also like like there's layers to it. And like
The
it's
way
and
that I was like, what are you talking about? I was like, oh right, that happened. That was like a whole thank you for remembering that. I put that somewhere else.
yeah, and like even with like Who's Afraid of Little Old Me, and she's like on that mirrored platform, and all the fans can
Yeah.
see their phones and the reflection recording her, and like, she's literally singing a song, like lashing out at the industry and like the
Yeah.
systems that made her feel so caged in her career, and probably still do in some ways. Um, but yeah,
Oh.
love. I've been thinking about that live set ever since like the final concert came out. I just go back and watch the Tortured Poets set specifically because I love it so much.
Oh, it's such a good set. I will say, that set made me a So High School fan, and for that I'm really grateful because it's so camp.
Yeah,
It's
it
so
really
I I am ready to say to the world that I learned that choreography. Just the like literal, it's like 20 seconds of choreo. But I was like so obsessed. It was like brand new, and I was just like so into the camp of it. It was so hilarious to me. And that I think is like what we're getting at, it like turns into this like art piece. Ugh. The thing that I like paused there because I was like, man, I still can't get over in that they're like on the bleachers and they're like acting out so high school, and then it's like, you know how to ball. I know Aristotle. The ball is not a football. It's a
yeah,
basketball. And I like can I just like can't get over it. And we are recording this the day after she shows up at the Knicks v Cavs game. And
yeah,
I didn't really like though I'm there's just a lot of information and I'm not an expert in her appearances. Like there's so many people that are, thank you for tracking them. So I
yeah,
would like kind of like saw that it happened. And I was like, damn, she's at a Knicks game. Like, all right. And then I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. She's at Knicks v Cavs. That is an entirely different story. Let me clock into mid 2000s sports now. All right, let's go Cavs. Anderson Varejao for the win. Anyway, the thing about the Cavs is that the Cleveland Cavaliers signed LeBron James, whose Instagram handle is King James. That's like his nickname, and he's the greatest basketball player this nation has ever seen. And so I'm like, oh my God, Cavs. Okay, what's up? That's wild. I said all that without realizing that Travis is like head to toe decked out in Cavs gear.
yeah,
Like, and I didn't do a deep dive into this, but that shirt he's wearing, I'm like, they pressed that shirt specifically for him. That shirt looks fresh off a fucking press. And
yeah.
I didn't look into it, so maybe it's not. Maybe it just looks cheap. You look cheap, Travis. I love the Cavs, but that shirt looked like somebody pressed it for you that day.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to go off on like a sports rant, but I'm just like so gagged at like, what are you doing, girly pop? Like, what are you doing? He's chugging beers after you chug beers at the Super Bowl. Okay, all right. Who's the man now? Yeah, you're trans. You're trans. And
It all
that's the
comes back.
Daydream Show, folks. Oh man, I do think that like, I joke, somewhat joke about everyone being trans, but I do think there's like a full spectrum of gender play that happens that, when I say trans, I don't mean like
Oh yeah.
trans. I mean, like, we are doing things with gender. We're doing an
Yeah.
agenda thing here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
While we're on this topic, this isn't
Please. So delighted to be in this topic with you.
this isn't until season two, but David Duchovny plays a trans woman character in season two of Twin Peaks. And I won't get super into her storyline, but like it's treated with such like I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, this is from the 90s and like everyone's just chill and like people
Oh,
aren't making
God.
it a big deal. They're just like, oh, hi Denise, like, like, and I'm just like, thank you, David Lynn.
Denise.
And then in The Return, there's a quote that you've definitely probably already heard. David Lynch says to this character, like, I told all your colleagues, those clown comics, something like that, fix your hearts or die.
Wait,
Um,
that's to Denise?
yes, yeah.
Shut the front door.
It's such a beautiful moment. And I,
Wait,
you
wait,
know,
wait. He says that in the television show?
yeah, David Lynch, his character says it to David
Oh my God.
Duchovny as Denis. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because like I had heard that quote, I'd heard him say that, but like I didn't know it was associated directly with Twin Peaks, and I had seen it in context with trans, but I thought it was just so like, yeah, he's like an, he's an ally, he's an advocate. I didn't know that it was.
It was a
I'm
specific moment of
screaming.
trans allyship from David Lynch, which we love.
And nobody has to go on this journey with me. People have lots of different ideas. I do think that David Lynch has a deep understanding of femininity and womanhood that is akin to trans woman life experience.
Totally.
And I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what to say about that. I shout out Alyssa talks a lot about how, like, yeah, that makes sense when you like have reached the unified field, when you
Yeah.
have like a cosmic understanding of the universe as Lynch does, there is like a unification of feminine and masculine. So I don't know where Lynch is on that journey. All I know is that I've never seen a man discuss a woman in trouble with such clarity and empathy.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I always think about how like Kyle MacLachlan has always been like a kind of like a channel for like a part of David Lynch's self, but I think Laura
Mm,
Dern is just as much of that same like vessel, if you will. Like and I don't want to specifically say like, oh, Kyle is his masculine side and Laura's his feminine side because it feels a little reductive,
mm.
but like
Sure.
I feel like both of them, I don't know. I'm va vaguely familiar with the concept of like anima and animus. I hope I'm saying that
Mm,
correctly.
mm.
But there's a thought somewhere in there, and I don't think it's going to be worked out in real time right now. But that came to
We're just
mind.
planting seeds. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're just planting seeds. The
totally.
the journey with Twin Peaks is long. We have
Yeah,
we have just begun,
yeah,
which
we'll just be done. Yeah,
that's the thing is you just got to start somewhere.
yeah. And this has really been like, because I love watching anything with Wending Circles because everyone always brings so many cool like observations and connections to the table. But with like Twin Peaks specifically, it's just so exciting because like I don't know, uh, yeah, just that's why I love watching Lynch with friends because everyone
Mm,
always has like a different perspective and different things that
yeah.
they notice and it all comes together. Like when you have conversations about it, it really brings this like full beautiful picture together and that's always special.
Mhm. It's like the clarity of the picture relies on the unification of the various parallax views.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like everyone has this different view of the parallax. We're all like I'm like imagining us all like surrounding this like faceted gem, and we're like looking at this art and it's like, yeah, I see it through this angle, and then if I like look through, like I can, but
Yeah.
it requires all of us to like comprise the gemstone
Hmm.
of art.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like we art is so fun, and it takes on an entirely new dimension when we get to do it in community.
Yeah.
So shout out to everyone who has been making their way to TV Club on Sundays to watch season one. It's been so fun to watch with you. We're watching the last three episodes of season one today at 4 p.m. Central Time. And then we have our season one chat tomorrow, Monday, which is at, I know it's at 3 p.m. Pacific, which is four,
5 Central.
5 Central. There we go. I was like, I knew it was an hour off. But 5 Central on Monday, we're gonna chat about season one, which I like don't even know. I was like, yeah, we'll just like, have a little chat. And I'm like, oh my God, there's like so many things to say. There's so many, where to begin. But yeah, wow. Like I said, I will probably be rewatching season one again over the summer just on my own to kind of just like put it into my brain. So if you're feeling like, wait, I missed season one, you didn't. You are just in time. You're right in time. You have all summer to watch season one. We'll keep talking about it. This is not something that's going away. And if you want to watch with us on Zoom, we host screening events and then Zoom events where we chat, um, like over video. When we watch it, we just like type in the chat and we're like, oh my gosh, that looks like when she kicks the bucket in the Showgirl promo. Oh my God. Uh, And it's really great when like three people say the same thing because we're
Yeah.
all just like patterned and it's like, ah, yes, very affirming. We all agree. Uh, so yeah, we're watching that, the last three episodes tonight, chatting about it tomorrow, the 25th. But if you miss those things, you're don't even stress because we're gonna be back for season two, starts, I believe, the 30th of August is when we come back from our summer break. And you have all summer to get caught up and watch together. So if you're interested in Twin Peaks, you found the right spot.
Mhm. Yes,
Any
you.
last things we want to say about Twin Peaks?
Um, I mean, there's always so much to say. But
Well, we'll just have to come back though. That's the thing about daydream shows. It's like, I mean, we've had a couple episodes on Lynch so far, and it's like we went through an entire episode and didn't even talk about Sabrina's Coachella performance, which is like so Lynchian on so many
mhm,
levels. So we just have to come back around. We'll just
yeah.
have to return to Twin Peaks.
Yeah. And
We're gonna. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the thing I will leave you with, which I
Mhm.
think we talked about this in one of the Twin Peaks watch sessions, but um, a quote from Twin Peaks, which is not originally by David Lynch, and I forget who it's originally by, but he slightly tweaks it. And it's, "We are like the dreamer who dreams, then lives inside the dream, but who is the dreamer?" And that's just been in my mind a lot regarding all things Lynch, but also art in general and dream interpretation, all that fun stuff. So,
That's so good. I think that's from the Upanishads,
yes,
which
that's
is
correct.
a religious text.
Yeah,
It's like he like takes the concept and has like put his spin on it, but that's the
yeah.
origin. Thank you so
It's
much, Lo. That's such an important
yeah. Thank you so
framework
much for
there.
having me on here. Like, this has been so fun, and I can't wait to keep talking about everything and experiencing it all together.
Back at you, Lo. I feel really lucky that we have like a Lynchian Twin Peaks guide because it's nice to be like, wait, is that the same character? And you're like, yes. So thanks for guiding us.
Yeah.
We're going to transition into our arts forum now. We're listening to Casey Musgrave's Middle of Nowhere, and then we're going to chat about it for our arts forum. And that's every Sunday from 11 to 1 Pacific. And then the other event we have this week is a chat room for the AMAs, the 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then we're going to take a short break and we'll be back on the 10th of June to celebrate Judy Garland's birthday with Lynch Oz. More Lynch, more Oz, more gay, more queer.
Always need more of that.
Always more. Well, thanks, Lo. Thanks for being here. I'll catch you next